Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Friday the 17th of April. So starting off looking at Euro dollar. Euro dollar, it's not quite a pivot swing, but certainly there was that sort of big bullish sort of candle yesterday, and yesterday on Wednesday we saw that follow through yesterday. Very choppy markets. It looks almost simpler than it really is at times, but it's following this sort of downward trend and I'm looking to see if this continues really today. So at some point I may be looking short side the euro. Got to be a bit careful. It's a Friday. It's been a bitty week. I mean, you saw yesterday's trading period there. It was just chopping for a long period, and until 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then it moves. So it's very difficult to get a grip on some of this sometimes, because it's possibly giving you a sell signal. Then all of a sudden it's sort of chopping for a long time. For some, it might come and stop them or whatever. But either way, it's a messy market. Looking at where we are now, to get on the if there was a break above that 34 moving average I've got on here, maybe it would be a bullish market, but then it would change the direction. It'd start becoming, it's already put a higher low in back here on this shorter time frame, this intermediate time frame. If it was to break that sort of area, maybe it's suggesting it could push up. The only thing, of course, is that 60-50 stays just above us, and it's not being hit, may provide reasonably strong resistance. So just got to be careful, patient here. The pound remains, when you're looking on this daily base, is marginally stronger, but not much. It still remains above those previous highs there, and lows there even, and highs. And well, is it able to push on a bit further? It ran in on Wednesday into that 200, which stifled its move. Then we've seen a sell-off back to its daily 21, just air kissing that, just in between things here. Very soft. Looking at it from a 4-hourly, well, it was pushing up all last week up until sort of Monday afternoon into Tuesday there, and Wednesday just it tried back, but it's rolled off again here. Still hasn't touched the weekly pivot, and maybe if it rolls at some point today, it could come back to that. It's very difficult to read because of the different higher lows, lower highs, and everything else. You've got a lower high confirmed on a more major point of view as it broke yesterday, but then it's pushed back up. It's pushed back above that intermediate high that was sort of sitting that lower high. It's pushed up there. It could be, and the way it's parked here, it looks half bullish this morning, and it hasn't got the resistance that the euro has. Maybe it could push back up towards the Asian sessions highs, but the way these have been moving, first thing, you see it yesterday as well, it just chopped yesterday really badly, and again 3 o'clock off that was when it really got its shift on. So just treading carefully this morning. Okay, dollar yen, well, that carried its route on yesterday as well, a bit more like the euro in a sense. It's sort of looking like it wants to bobble back over again now. It started that move down on today's bar. It's again it's been the bittiest we've seen for a while here. It looks like it's in a bit of a chop zone, and again very bitty market. It's sitting back into its 60-50. It had this sort of bearish flag to the downside here on this hourly picture. You can see this sort of price action, but it's then sort of stalled into that 60-50 again. It's been in there, been through it. If it rolls through there, maybe we've got a bit more correction to come into play. But difficult one really if it gets back above its highs here around about that sort of 107 35-40 area. Maybe it's got further upside. It's got this sort of higher lows there, then you've got this spike down yesterday 3 o'clock but then if you ignore the spike there and just look at that, you've got higher lows going through this market. You just question whether it will push back up there, but the spike is the spike. It's double topped here, and maybe it's going to just run back in. If it can close below this 60-50, perhaps it's got the opportunity to roll back down towards the bodies of the spike, or even down to its daily S1. But again, these markets just are not clear, and which makes the reading of them and the trading of them not so easy or straightforward, as if it's always easy. Certainly not, but trend-wise on this Australian dollar, is sort of bucking it again. It's a bit more in line with the pound in a sense. It's had the push through on there, pushed through up until Wednesday. Yesterday it sold off again. It's in between a rock and a hard place here. Again, higher lows coming through. So on this hourly time frame, or a higher low coming through, confirmed on the break through the Asian session there. It's chopped around again though, right the way through that. It's put a spike, a doji one way, and it looks like it's going to put up a doji the other way. So again, it's early. Okay, it's only running on 4 minutes, that candle, so let's not draw too many conclusions from that. Maybe it's just going to roll back over. When you look at the tails on these prior candles here, price there was just selling coming into it, but then it sort of moved okay. But maybe that we're just seeing selling coming into that sort of area. So maybe it's got a chance to get back down there and hit that daily pivot properly. Canadian dollar. The Canadian dollar, it's had been a sort of more cleaner one in a sense. It looks like it would sort of come back. Okay, it just broke through its trend line a little bit on Wednesday. Thursday it sold off again. Maybe it could tickle over there, but it's not really that convincing. In fact, when you come down to this a smaller time frame, you could see the clear move down that was through the rest of last week and into the beginning of this week, and then it has switched sort of a Tuesday, Wednesday. It started pushing up. I'm looking at it from this time frame. It looks like, regardless of what the other time frame's saying, it does look like maybe it's going to pitch back up, maybe back towards those the body highs, maybe even back to that R1. Okay. That's pretty much it there. Oil, just in case you've got into oil positions or whatever else, some people have mentioned it's sitting there well up at the moment at $26, but you're not probably seeing that in your accounts or whatever else. But for some brokers, they've changed the contract, so instead of having the spot price, which is correlated to where we're sitting at the moment down here, they're seeing prices have jumped up a little bit, but it's just a future contract. Don't worry, it's doing pretty much what it's doing here. It's double bottoming here at the moment, could still roll over further. The S&Ps, let's have a quick look at the S&Ps. The S&Ps had a solid old 4-hourly shift up there. Let's have a look through what's going on here. There's sort of seems to have gaps here. Again, it may be just missing a bit of data here. It's there on the 4-hourly. Shove up through. There is a gap on the hourlies there as well. Maybe we'll see that gap fill back down to its pivot there. So the pivot's sitting below the gap fill, so that could look sweet as a for those gap traders, gap players, back to its fill that gap. Okay, that's pretty much it. News-wise today, there's barely anything there. We saw some Chinese data coming out this morning, and I say barely anything. There's nothing of any significance I can see there. So have a great day. Bye for now.